Oh man, I'm ready for this next one though. As we're winding down here, this is a good way to end the
I
show.
will let you take the first crack at this one.
Yeah. So this is from darkreading.com, and I've cracked up every time I've read it, which I've read this a bunch of times. The dark web has its own people's court, and it starts out with going, there may be no honor among cyber thieves, but they do appear to obey underground rules. So let's see. I want to actually just read this. Analysts counted over 600 threads pertaining to cases that have been filed in these underground courts. The amounts at dispute in such cases typically range from a few hundred to a few $1,000s, through a handful of involved disputes over much higher sums. Uh, for instance, one group was sued for $2 million for living up to an agreement involving the hacking and encryption of data of a US based school system, which ties back into our first article. And they say it happens all the time. The system that they actually will pay, they get into these quote unquote dark web court systems where somebody pays a group to help them accomplish their mission. And if somebody doesn't pay up or execute, they take them to the people's court. Uh, one of the cases that was being monitored was complaints against the group that did the Colonial Pipeline, the Dark Side Ransomware Group. They were ransomware as a service, and they were seeking payments from some of the people that packed out, but they had to go into hiding, and so they had to go to these forums. These administrators went to these forums to get this resolved. It says when a decision is in favor of the plaintiff, the defendant has a set amount of time to make amends or face the prospect of being banned from any future activity on the forum. Typically, well-established cybercrime operators make a Bitcoin deposit into an escrow account as proof of their ability to pay for a service, and threat actors are paid from these accounts when a dispute is settled in their favor. And apparently, to really get through this, they use the public forums, the other criminals in there, to kind of weigh the evidence of whatever is presented in there to help make the decision. And if found guilty, the accused can be banned from the community, placed on a public wall of shame, and have their bad reputation shared within other underground syndicates.
I love it.
Awesome. And I can just hear Judge Wapna and the entire the People's Court show. For those of you old enough and see AJ, we are with our bald heads. Yeah, theme running through my head, man. I found this absolutely insane.
I absolutely love this article. I absolutely love it. For 2 points. One, it's just hilarious. I mean, the fact that criminals are taking other criminals to court, saying, "Hey, look, man, you sold me a bad piece of malware. This malware was supposed to do some stuff, and it didn't do what it was supposed to do, and I wasted all this time and effort." Like that cracks me up. But even more so, it highlights the point that we try to tell people all the time and try to tell executives all the time. Cybercrime is a business. It's not this is stuff. I mean, they are working really hard. They have affiliate networks. They've got ransomware as a service. I mean, come on now. This is big business. So they're treating it like a business. They're sharpening their tools. They're constantly looking for new and better ways to enhance and get better at their craft. And yet many executives aren't giving cybersecurity. How are they going to mitigate these risks? They're not giving it enough attention. Cybersecurity is not a set it and forget it thing. It's an ongoing practice. Why? Because criminals are treating it like a business, so much so that they're taking others to court to get their money whenever they buy something that doesn't work. That
Oh,
just kills me. That kills me.
it's just imagine if everybody ran themselves that way. I want to just get a group of random. Well, I mean, let's get a group of people together and say, y'all decide. We'll abide by it, because if you're not, you're getting shamed.
Hey, it's neighborhood rules. I mean, go back to the 60s and 70s, man. I mean, that's the way it was. In the neighborhoods, it was like, hey, so and so did this. Oh, he did that. What? I mean, word got out on the street, your name was mud. I mean, that's just the way it works. I just think it's hilarious that criminals are now holding them. They're like, hey, man, we have to hold ourselves to a certain standard here. Like, I
We're,
expect
hey, we're
this
professionals.
malware.
Too, man. We're professionals ourselves,
I needed an ROI on that malware. I didn't get my ROI.
Yeah. I think it also reminded me of the the fourth Die Hard movie. If you ever seen it, the Live Free, I think it's Live Free or Die Hard with. It was Bruce Willis and Justin Long. And Justin Long was the hacker, and the group that was doing the entire shutdown was outsourcing little snippets of the code for specific functions, and then they were going around blowing them up, of course. So I don't think we're at that level yet. But I imagine if you didn't pay your Bitcoin bill, yeah,
They might start blowing each other up. We could get there, but we are at the point where they're obviously outsourcing their criminal activities. They say, "Hey, I don't need to bring this in house. I'm gonna outsource."
is that like plausible deniability? You run it through the intermediary thing, like a mobster type of.
They're they're mitigating their risk.
They're 4 steps away. I just thought that article was, I was cracking up. You cracked up. It was a good way to end it.
It
And so
is.
we typically record these shows on a Friday, so it's a good way to kind of end the week on. I mean, don't get me wrong. You get hit with the ransomware, you get your stuff locked out and pay. That's not fun, but you know, cybersecurity in and of itself can't be always taking a hammer and beating it over someone's head. You got to find some bright spots in it. There's a reason why I think we're all involved in this. It's a communal effort, and these types of things, I mean, I guess to a degree can be considered ridiculous, but
Well,
find the silver lining in finding some enjoyment in what you do.
I think at the end of the day, this article, while we joke and we've had fun with it, it really does point out the fact that criminals are treating this like a business. And as business executives ourselves, and those listening in the C-suite and business leadership roles, we need to take this seriously, because they are.
They are.
They're taking it very seriously. They're outsourcing their resource. They're outsourcing the efforts that they need. They're not bringing it in house. I mean, everything that we do and that we think about as business owners, they're doing it on the dark side. And that just amazes me that there's that level of sophistication, that they're actually operating in that sense. And then now they've gotten to the point to where they're holding themselves accountable for it. So while it is funny on one side, on the other side, it's actually kind of terrifying because there's some organizational structure that's starting to take place. And if they coordinate all these attacks, it could be scary. And so that's why we need to take it serious. That's why, in a joking manner, we bring this information, this content. That's why we do what we do, to keep it light, wholehearted, easy to understand and digest, but at the same time, paint the picture and raise awareness that says, hey, look, we should pay, as businesses and business leaders, we need to do a little bit more when it comes to cybersecurity to make sure that we're protecting ourselves and our businesses and the employees and the people that we work with.
Nope, absolutely. And I think with that,